Hello everybody! Today I'm going to show you how I turned this vintage tablecloth with all of these beautiful embroidered flowers into this, a cute little A-line dress. That's today on Refashioning with Rachel. So for this tutorial I used this vintage pattern by Simplicity. This video will be more of a sew along. I'm just showing you this pattern that I used, but any similar pattern would probably work just the same. So first I'm going to cut out the pattern. There is a small stain in one of the corners of this tablecloth that I have to avoid, but other than that, this tablecloth is in pretty good shape. So first I'm laying out all the pieces. I'm lining up the center back of the pattern along the raw edge of the tablecloth, which is really nice because then I don't have to finish that edge. I'll show you that a little bit later. Here I'm transferring the markings from the pattern onto the fabric. And this is the back piece of the dress, and you can see how it's lined up just along the edge of the tablecloth. And now I'm cutting out the facing pieces. Right here, these are the sleeve facing pieces. And then I'm going to cut out the neck facing as well. I'm also lining up the center of the back of the neck facing along the raw edge of the tablecloth. So there's a nice finish there as well. Now I have all of my pieces cut out, the facing and the front and the back. So I'm going to start off by sewing all of the darts, starting at the end, going backwards and forwards, and then right to the tip of the dart. After all the darts are sewn, I can press the seams either down or to the back. So now I'll show you the way that I put in a zipper. First, I mark where the zipper is going to stop. And then I start with the longest stitch, like a basting stitch, and I sew all the way down to where I made the mark where the zipper is going to stop. And when I get to that mark, I'm going to switch the stitch length to a normal length stitch and finish off that seam. And sew all the way to the bottom of the dress. And now I can press that seam open. And you see how nice the edges are on this zipper seam? It's because I cut the fabric out right on the edge of the tablecloth, and it gave me that nice clean edge. Now put the zipper with the zipper side down on the wrong side of the fabric and pin it in place. Switching to a zipper foot, I can get really close to the edge of the zipper. And I'm starting to sew about a couple inches down from the top of the zipper. This way I can avoid it, and I'm going to be finishing off the top a little bit later anyway. And I'm just sewing down, removing the pins from underneath as I go. So the top 2 inches of the zipper are still unsewn, but I can now go in with a seam ripper and remove all of that basting stitch. After seam ripping, I like to go in with the little tweezer to remove any of those little threads. And now the zipper is almost finished. I'm going to attach the front and the back at the shoulder seams now. And I'm going to attach the front and the back of the neck facing at the shoulder seams as well. I apologize that my hand is in the way for these shots, but I think you can see what I'm doing. And then I serged and pressed the facing and the shoulder seams. Once everything is nicely pressed, I can pin and then sew the neck facing all around the neck hole. Once that's sewn, I can go in and make little clips all along the curve of that neck hole. And then I'm going to sew that seam allowance onto the facing, kind of close to the edge, about 1 millimeter away from the seam edge. This step just helps keep the facing on the inside of the dress. Now I'm going to take that facing and fold it down and take the excess of the zipper and fold that down with it and pin that in place. Same thing on the other side. And I'm closing up the zipper all the way, just testing that everything lines up nicely. Now I can finish off that zipper and sew it closed, and also sew the neck facing down all at the same time. And the zipper is finished. To help keep the neck facing from rolling out, I am securing it down by stitching in the ditch on the shoulder seam. And moving along, I am pinning and then sewing the armhole facing onto the armhole. And just like with the neck hole facing, I am cutting in little slits all along the curve of that armhole. And then top stitching that seam onto the facing. Okay, and now I can pin and sew the side seams, and this dress is almost finished. So I'm going to sew from the bottom up the side of the dress and through the armhole facing as well. Then I gave everything a good press with an iron. To prevent the armhole facing from flipping out, I secured it down by stitching in the ditch of the side seam. Then I tried on the dress and decided it was really long, so I cut a bit off, but unfortunately I cut a little bit too much off, so I had to hem it very carefully without taking off any more length. What I decided to do is I just serged the end of it and then folded up just like 1/2 centimeter and made that my hem. So yeah, not the best way to finish a hem of a dress, but it worked and I was finished. This is a reminder of what this project looked like before, just a cute vintage tablecloth. And this is how it looks now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did, and have a nice day.